The story resumes in the wake of the horrific events on Gilson Street, within the nameless city of Pran. The atmosphere is tense as the magical dome that once kept the sky bright blue begins to fade, giving way to darkening clouds, a harbinger of the encroaching darkness from the east. The Nameless are in full damage control mode. Around 500 citizens are packing up to flee the city, their fear palpable. At the same time, anarchy is beginning to brew as thugs gather in the streets. Teppan is entrenched in paperwork, managing bureaucratic matters, while Velikor, the city's champion, works alongside Venmir and Jafar to restore order to the chaotic streets. Jafar, ever vigilant, spies a group of thugs up to no good. He directs Velikor to intervene. Velikor, with his feline grace and diplomatic prowess, delivers a compelling speech to the uneasy townsfolk. He speaks of the importance of unity in trying times, reassuring them that the Nameless will protect the city. The crowd begins to disperse as Venmir, floating nearby, approaches Velikor. They engage in a much-needed conversation, with Venmir showing a keen interest in Velikor's past and how he earned his respected status in the city. The two make plans to visit one of Pran's finer dining establishments. Later that evening, at the Gladiator, Venmir and Velikor enjoy an alligator tail delicacy, sharing stories and forging a deeper bond. Meanwhile, Jafar continues his search for Lunaria, who had stormed off earlier. He finds her crossing the main streets, her steps heavy with the weight of tears and rage. Desperate for information on Volkov, Lunaria heads towards Teppan's wizard tower, nearly slamming the door in her rush to find Olina. The Triton sister of Teppan, sensing Lunaria's distress, instinctively embraces her. Over a cup of Genwald's tea, a calming brew given to Teppan by an old bugbear, Lunaria's emotions are soothed, allowing her to speak more clearly about what troubles her. Olina and Lunaria engage in a deep conversation about Lunaria's past. Lunaria presses for details about Volkov and how he gained entry to the city. Olina explains that Volkov, an older militant figure from Torgo, claimed to be on urgent business to see Teppan. Though he seemed convincing, she now regrets not questioning him further. Olina, visibly emotional, reveals that Volkov seemed strangely familiar to her, mentioning a possible connection to her youthful days in Limbo. She struggles with feelings of betrayal towards her brother, questioning her own role as a protector of the city. Jafar, sensing that Lunaria and Olina are helping each other, decides to check on Smore and Donnie. He walks the halls of the tower until he reaches Smore's room, finding it in disarray. A chaotic scene of tinkering with mechanical bits, wires and tools scattered everywhere. At the center, Smore is desperately trying to save Donnie, who lies motionless on an operating table, a deep scar across his left temple from Volkov's infernal mace. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Jafar steps in, asking Smore to stand aside. He prays to his soul master, and ethereal ink and paper appear before him, spelling out the conditions: yes or no. Jafar answers yes, and his eyes glow with blue and green light. Sorrowful howls echo through the room as the spotlight flickers, and suddenly Donnie coughs and smiles up at Smore.
Mate, it's fucking great to see you,
he exclaims. Smore and Donnie share a moment of joy, relieved that their friendship will continue. Even Jafar smiles, knowing his sacrifice was worth it. Later, a commotion arises outside the wizard tower. At first, it seems to be more citizens preparing to leave, but then the Nameless witness an astonishing sight: the arrival of the great wanderers of the star-laid path, the royal and the half-moon enforcers of Njul. In a grand display, 7 or 8 massive ethereal elephants carry camping tents on their backs. In a theatrical entrance, Lucius Fell, the newly anointed general commander of the Half-Moon Enforcers, is majestically lowered by the trunk of the lead elephant. He steps onto the desert ground, making his presence known. The Nameless stand in silence as Lucius Fell's sharp voice cuts through the air.
Ah, is this what the true Pran of the Red Dunes has become?
He remarks, eyeing the Nameless. Jafar welcomes him, and they briefly catch up after years of separation. Jafar inquires about the well-being of the princess, whom Lucius was supposed to guide back to her throne. For the first time, Lucius hesitates, a slight insecurity in his voice.
Yes, the princess. We don't know where she is. Ha ha ha.
He admits with a chuckle. A loud smack echoes through the streets as Jafar's hand connects with Lucius's face, wiping the sly grin from his features, replacing it with a look of puppy-eyed remorse. This revelation leaves the future of the throne and the princess's safety in a precarious state, adding to the mounting challenges the Nameless must face. The group convenes later in the day to discuss their options. Should they search for the princess? Will they find Velikor's father? And what about Volkov and the rumors of an assassination attempt on Tepin? With so much at stake, the party makes a decision. Jafar, confident in the princess's capabilities, decides to delay any action regarding her. Lunaria, too, feels that revenge is best served in due time. Velikor, however, remains determined to seek answers in the distant Dulukian mountain range. The Nameless journey back to the Dulukian Valley, returning to the site where they last ventured. The skeletal remains and towering cavern walls loom ominously as the dry desert air transitions to the humid atmosphere of a gargantuan terrarium. A deep rumble echoes from the direction of the mangled bones, and suddenly a giant hand smashes against the cavern walls. From around the bend, a colossal gorilla emerges, its face half-scarred, revealing bone beneath. Covered in countless scars, the golden gorilla of Duluk stands before them. With no time to lose, the party runs toward the other side of the valley. But Smore, ever the wild card, brings out his amulet of the plains. In a near-desperate gamble, he winds the amulet, hoping to transport himself and the gorilla to the plane of fire. His plan succeeds, and they find themselves in a world of endless flames. The gorilla is engulfed in fire, its flesh and fur burning away, but Smore remains unharmed. As the last remnants of flesh are consumed, the gorilla's skeleton is revealed, a brilliant, shining gold. It charges at Smore, who quickly turns the dial again, flinging them both into the chaotic maelstrom of limbo. Elemental forces rage around them, fire, lightning, and necrotic energy exploding in every direction. Miraculously, Smore survives the ordeal, but the gorilla is pulverized into oblivion. Exhausted, Smore turns the dial one last time, returning to the valley just in time. The Nameless look on in disbelief as Smore, barely able to stand, stumbles back to them. His amulet is confiscated for the time being. The party then spends another day traversing the ancient remnants, following the signs of the Shaolin monks of Duluk. Velikor feels a connection deep within, guiding them to the summit of a lonely mountain in the middle of the range. As they reach the top, the connection grows stronger, and Velikor's astral arms begin to glow. A disembodied voice echoes from the swirling clouds above them.
Velikor, you have journeyed far to stand before me.
It says, and the Nameless are transported to a floating meadow above the clouds, where a grand, ancient temple of astral essence stands. Ethereal banners and pillars guide them to a staircase leading to the first overhang. At the top, a figure waits, commanding yet serene. His ageless face is marked by sharp, angular features, exuding wisdom and tranquility. His long, flowing hair cascades like liquid silver down to his waist, and glowing celestial tattoos pulse across his body like a heartbeat.
I am Ardentus Kython Australis.
The figure says,
The path ahead is one of profound truths. As master of the Temple of Duluk and a humble teacher of the Sholin ways, it is my duty to unveil a revelation that lies at the core of your being.
He places a gentle, clawed hand on Velikor's shoulder, his eyes filled with sorrow and love.
Within you lies the essence of the Australis. Your true name is Rafe Australis, and in some way, I am your father.
As we leave Session 52, Velikor is tasked to stand before the fundamentals, the site of the truest of beings, Yigra being one of them.